everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Slate, the highest rated edition of the Slate, week in and week out. That's because it's the three of us on your screen. I'm Emerson Latzia. We got a little Jeff Ulrich sandwich going on right now. Nick Fryer is here. DK on the ones and twos. Producer Eamon trying to keep this train on the tracks. How is everybody doing this evening? Nick?
I am doing just dandy. I'm the only one that's still at the office. So everybody else, legitimately, everybody else at the company has gone home except me. I just want that to be on the record that I am the most committed DraftKings employee there.
Do you think Jason Robbins watches this show? Do you think he's just one day is going to be like, oh my God, this Nick Fryer guy, he's so committed. Let's give him a raise. Let's, the junior VP position.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? I mean, I have to put up with Emerson more than anybody today. I feel like I deserve some extra awards here.
Something going on between you two.
There's nothing going on besides the fact that he bullies me in front of our managers at work, and most of the bullying that he committed, and I was a victim this morning, was caught on tape, but he doesn't know that. You also don't know, Nick, throughout my years at DK, I'm very tight with HR. I'm very tight.
Oh yeah.
So you better watch your ass, pal.
Susan,
okay.
HR.
I heard Emerson's so tight with HR that I heard that he reported somebody to HR earlier, like at one point, and that person got promoted as a result of him reporting them to HR.
Yeah. Anywho, Nick.
Golden touch right there.
It really is. And Nick, you're talking to the two highest paid employees at DraftKings. So knock it off with the still at the office thing. Jeff and I have put in our work. We've grinded, and you being a, up and coming minion, you are doing just that, following in our footsteps. Guys, we got a lot to get to in the next 30 minutes or so here. We'll get into some NBA stuff because Fryer, like we talked about this morning, Kevin Durant making his debut tonight. Love to get your thoughts on that. Jeff, I'm going to want to get your thoughts on some of these big NHL trades going down, maybe which ones become a contender, maybe your favorite trade up to this point. Trade deadline is going to be 3:00 Eastern time on Friday afternoon. But I do want to start with golf. We're going to start with golf today, guys, because this is an elevated event. We got the API. Jeff's been on the sweat all week talking about it. Did the DFS thing this morning with Len Hochberg, but 44 of the top 50 players in the official world golf rankings are going to tee it up at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. No tournament has featured top 50 players, more top 50 players rather, since the Open Championship at St. Andrews last summer. So, Jeff Ulrich, I will start with you. There are some heavy hitters, obviously, in this field. Is there a heavy hitter that you would back at a shorter number?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the odds up here.
What the hell's going on?
Here we go, Draft.
Okay, here we go. All right, thank you.
Sorry, repeat your question now that I've got the
my question was, look at the heavy hitters towards the top of the board here, dude. Which one would you back?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think this is a good week. We've got a lot of factors in play. It's obviously an elevated field. I'm not suggesting that you just back 100 guys that are 100 to 1 or bigger, but we got some wind in play. It could create a real havoc on terms of the splits. And for me, that just adds another factor here where I really don't want to back any of the big three. If I was going to back one, I would just take the guy at longest odds. It's Scheffler. He just played great at Phoenix. I definitely prefer him over Rory. He won in tough conditions last year. And really, he's double Rahm. It's not that I don't think Rahm is the better player right now. It's just that Scheffler has better odds. I would personally really start looking, though. You could start looking at a guy like Morikawa, who I don't hate. That would be my choice among the guys at 2,000. But I think that there's multiple players in the 3,000 range. Victor Hovland probably being still my favorite. Multiple runner-up finishes there in the state of Florida. He's played well at this event last season. Like Hovland, he's played well in these kind of conditions before, man. Like he's played well in tougher events. Yeah, the around the green game can get him, but that is a number I'm fine with him on in this field. I think he's been trending well. He's been testing out new equipment. And, Jason Day is interesting. Didn't quite hit the ball that well at Riviera, has been putting well. Sungjae feels like he's been playing too much. His approach game is down. Justin Thomas is interesting. I think that's a very fair number on Justin Thomas. I just don't know where his game is at. So Hovland and Thomas to me are kind of the guys in this range that I would start with. And then once you go further back, there's more names you get into, but this isn't a week where I really want to take on a lot of short numbers. I think starting at Hovland is actually a good idea.
All right, Fryer, we're going to bring you in here because you did tell us that you have not one, not two, but 3 plays for the API. So we're bringing Fade Fryer to the table very early on. Jeff has set the table. It is time now for you to feast. So give me one of your plays right now. Give me the guy with the shortest odds out of your 3 players.
Okay, shortest odds right now for me is Gary Woodland at plus 8,000.
Wow. Okay.
And I do want to point out, with all 3 of the guys that I have, he is the most expensive in DFS as well at 7,400. So all these guys you might be able to mix in here. He was so Jeff's cheat sheet on DK Nation is a great spot. I say it every week to start your research, because Jeff has a lot of like random little like stats in there that are relevant to each course and winning trends and everything. So for the Arnold Palmer Invitational, each of the last 8 winners of this event have recorded a tie 17 or better finish in a previous season before winning here. Gary Woodland was tied 5th last season. And also 11 of the past 12 winners of this event have played in the Arnold Palmer Invitational in the year prior and made the cut, except the only exception was Scheffler last year. Again, Gary Woodland, all set, covered there. And Jeff also talked a lot about how shots gained on approach is the most important stat with this course. I forget where Scheffler was in this last year, but it was great in that regard. He's tied for 11th right now this season in that category. So Woodland was one that jumped out to me the most. He's plus, 14,000 for top 5 finish and plus 650 for top 10. But I think of all my guys here, he is my favorite for straight up as a winner.
Okay. Yeah. That finishing 5th here last year, Jeff Ulrich, you mentioned that we were talking a little bit before the show. Wasn't that, I can't remember. Was it kind of like a heartbreaking like finish for him? Like,
yeah, it was. He had the lead and then he doubled. I think he doubled 17. He took 2 shots to get out of the bunker. So
yeah.
It's classic Gary Woodland style. I think it's a fine pick. The ball striking has to be elite this week, especially on approaches. There's not been too many people better at long approaches than Gary Woodland over the last few events. So that is a number I'm interested in. I admittedly have sprinkled a little bit just because you just can't ignore the stats with him. He needs to look at those dogs. He needs to flip the putter, obviously, but it can happen. I mean, this is a player who's won a major. He, if he gets some confidence out there on the greens, it could happen again. He definitely, I think, will find the winner's circle at some point. So why not this week? It's chaos. The elite ball striker is not a bad place to hide. I think you're just getting fair odds. Yeah.
Couple Gary Woodland fans here.
Apparently.
Surrounding
by the voice of your dogs, I should be tripling my bet here.
They know your voice, Jeff. I'm not kidding you. They listen to me talk to you here in this position.
They can just sense that I also own a Springer Spaniel, and I would probably be showering them with treats if I was there and rolling on the ground.
I saw your wife took her for like a 5-mile run while your kids were at like jiu-jitsu or something.
Yes,
I follow your dog on Instagram, so I know everything your dog does.
It's been a while because it was too cold and icy for like a couple weeks, so she's been pent up. Yeah.
So Fryer's pick with the shortest odds out of his 3 golfers, plus 8,000.
I'm very intrigued now who the other 2 players are.
Yeah, dude, trust me. He told me before you hopped on. It's great. But Jeff, I want you to, do you have any other golfers there before you even hit the plus 8,000 range?
Yeah, there's a couple guys in this range. I mean, I like both these players here in Cameron Young and Hideki. Now, I'm going to preface it by saying the number on Cam Young is far more appealing. If I was betting Hideki, I would want 6,000 probably, just considering when you look back at some of the names that are behind him. So I like Hideki. I don't really like the number here. Cameron Young, though, I'll take that. He gained 7 strokes ball striking his last time out. Played this event, played it pretty well last season too. 3 rounds under par in tough conditions. I think Cameron Young is just, a prototypical winner on the PGA Tour. He's long off the tee. He's kind of like what you'd call an elite Gary Woodland right now. Yeah, his putter and around the green game hasn't been sharp to start the year. Once that flips, you're going to see this guy contend. He played well in the wind at St. Andrews. I think, going and getting a runner-up finish there in your first attempt is a pretty amazing feat. And now we're at another windy event. I think that's good karma there for Cameron Young. And like I said, just a player who I think this is a fine for him. A little bit of a tougher test. I think that's good. And I think the number is very fair. Plus 4,000. I mean, we're talking about like Jason Day, Sung Jae Im. I think these are players where Cameron Young should be, if not ahead or right around. So I think the fact you're getting plus 4,000, that's another player I got in my card. Hovland and Young, probably my 2 favorite plays there.
I'm interested to see how this season plays out for Matsuyama, because he struggled most of last year, Jeff, with dealing with that neck injury. So I feel like he was never 100%. And then there were some of those tournaments that were so damn annoying where he withdrew maybe like minutes before his tee time tournament already started, screwing a lot of DFS players out there for sure, man. But
he's looked healthier late.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. And I know he missed the cut on the number at the Genesis, but like prior to that, like he is showing some encouraging progress, because he's got a T9 at the Farmers, T29 at the Waste Management, which, you know, we were at there. So, and he's gaining strokes on approach. But yeah, cool. I mean, buy low on him, right? After he missed the cut last week.
I think so. I mean, the other appealing thing about Hideki is he's actually, if you look at, we talked about this, like, but windy conditions, if you look at strokes gained, I think he was 5th in extremely windy conditions. Like we're talking like 15 miles per hour or more. So like the wind doesn't affect him. He's a good ball striker. I'm not shocked at that. And yeah, he lost a bunch of strokes putting at Riviera, but he only missed the cut on the number. That's not concerning at all. He'd actually been playing better before that. So yeah, I like I said, I would have wanted a bigger number on him than DraftKings has up, but he's still a player. Like for DFS, he's only 8,200. I really love that price. I think he's very underpriced in DFS. That's a good place to get exposure to Hideki. I brought up Ricky Fowler as well. He's gained over 4 strokes on approach his last 3 starts. So his approach game is appealing. Ricky kind of reminds me of what Kirk was like last week. Kirk had played really well on the West Coast, took a week off. People kind of forgot a little bit about him. He came in and won. Ricky kind of reminds me of the same thing. Again, if you jumped on Ricky at like plus 6,000 or plus 7,000, that's good. At plus 5, you know, I would still bet Ricky at that number. I like him too much this week. I think he's going to have a good week. So those are 2 guys in that range I like as well.
Ricky's gained more than 15 strokes on approach in his last 3 starts, although those only resulted in 11th, 10th, 20th finishes, thanks to other areas of his game failing him. But I don't know. He's got tons of experience on this course.
He does. He loves this course. He loves this event. He's a big Arnold Palmer guy. He used to always get dappered up in like the Arnold Palmer gear that Puma would make for him. I think that Ricky his game looks really good at late. And yeah, he lost some strokes putting at Riviera, but like Riviera is not a course I would be pegging Ricky Fowler at. Florida is his bread and butter, man. He's won twice in the state. He lives here.
That players year was incredible.
That was an incredible. That was probably that was one of the best tournaments ever. Like honestly, just in terms of the Sunday, the movement and just how he won it. Legitimately, that's something you can go watch on Rewind. You'd be like, wow, this is
pretty incredible. That dart that he tossed on 17, because that's such a tough
17, the putt he made on 8. I mean, everything. Like he had like 3 wedges in a row on 17. It's incredible stuff. Yeah, but I do. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I remember that tournament also a lot for his girlfriend at the time. She was getting like just destroyed on Twitter because like she looked like she may have had a long night the night before. She rolled out. Everyone was crushing her for her like cut off like jean shorts and like this tank top she was in, when all the other like girlfriends and wives are all like dressed top to bottom. Looked like they were all going to the Kentucky Derby or something like that. And she just was like, hey, let's.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hell yeah, brother, my jorts. All right, Fryer, give me your next dude. Come on, let's go down the board.
Okay.
We're going really low, Jeff.
Do we go all the way down?
No, don't go to the last guy. Give me your second dude.
Okay. So at plus 9,000 to win it, plus 1,600 for top 5, plus 700 for top 10. I got Tom Hoagie. I know last time when we backed him, it didn't work out too well. His highest finish here is top 15. And if you want to take him to go in the top 20, which I feel like that's actually where my play would, like if I was to pick a play, like just one, it would probably be top 20 for him this week. Highest finish here is top 15. So of course that fits under that first thing that I mentioned earlier, Jeff. You have to have at least top 17 finish for the past 8 winners here prior to the season that you won. He made the cut here last season. Right now, I know he's like middling in strokes gain putting, but he's second in strokes gain approach. And I know we talked about it before how important that stat is for this tournament. And I know he didn't play last week, but he had a top 15 also in a tournament prior to that, which was the Genesis. And again, was it 7,300 on for DFS too? Yeah,
no, for sure. I mean, look, Hoagie is definitely undervalued in DFS, so I brought it up. 7,300 is pretty ridiculous for a guy who, like you said, the long approaches, he's very much, you know, the same class as Gary Woodland in that. He's just a supreme ball striker, and he's been more consistent, quite frankly, than Woodland. Woodland is obviously a major winner, and I mean, the pedigree is there, but Hoagie going back to the fall, I mean, this guy racked up a bunch of top finishes, and, you know, T14 at the Genesis again. I don't hate it. I think that if I was betting Hoagie, I think he's a good top 10 bet. I think that's a really nice bet. He's going to benefit, I think, from tougher conditions. He's going to hit more greens. The around the green area in this on Bay Hill tends to not be too tough, which is good for Hoagie as well. The putter shows up, he can contend, absolutely. So more of a placing bet for me, I would say. But certainly, you know, I mean, it's funny. Like, again, I think this speaks to the fact, like, we got an elite field, but this is why the PGA Tour should not be limiting these events. I mean, just looking here, we've got Theegala, Woodland, Kirk, Hoagie, and even my boy Seamus Power and Aaron Wise and Billy Ho. I mean, these are good players. Theegala's finished top 5 twice on the West Coast. Kirk just won. Hoagie has been drilling it for like a year now, and Power's won as well twice. So, like, these are good players who, if they cut the field down, we may not see a couple of these guys in 70-man fields. Really dumb by the tour, in my opinion, to consider that. I just don't like the move at all. But I mean, this range is, you could pick a couple guys out here. Hoagie, to me, good placing bet. I do like the Woodland outright call. And I mean, my guy Kirk, like, Kirk and Woodland both had a chance to win this event last year. I mean, I don't know if Kirk could go back to back, but like, if he contends again this week, do not be shocked. He loves this course. He's only plus 650 for top 10 too. So I think those are a couple guys you could be looking to there. If you want to double down. This is a good range. A lot of solid players.
So Jeff, actually, on the note of both you guys, I guess, when it comes to the whole this like restructuring with the tournaments and the elevated tournaments and everything like that, I get like that you guys are you're both against this, right? Emerson, you're against it too?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it because we're going to see guys like Kirk, who put on a hell of a show last week, who's already a multi-winner on the PGA Tour, has a hell of a story. You're going to get guys like that who are shafted when a course like this, especially with the weather every year, kind of like evens the field, like the playing fields even out, and you get more good stories, more of these dudes who overtake the Goliaths in the golf world.
Is it based on their ranking? Is that it?
Yeah, I think it's like going to be FedEx points.
See, that's why I was curious if it was FedEx points or if it was their ranking. Because if it's their FedEx points, then I actually understand it, because that's going to incentivize guys to not skip out on as many tournaments, right? Because then they're going to lose out on these elevated events, right?
True. I think mainly what the tour is just doing, they still feel threatened by LIV. This is my opinion, and they want the best players on tour in the world to be making more money at these events. And they're probably thinking, if we lose, 70, 80, 90th golfer ranking in the world, like, okay, that's fine. They want the big dogs to remain happy.
Unfortunately, Emerson's dead on. There's no reason for them to limit the fields from 120 to 70, except for the fact that it guarantees the top 20 players, the top 30 players, money. That's the only reason they would do it. That's really the only advantage. All this other stuff is, we're going to get the fans want it because then it guarantees the players are going to show up to these events that are 120-man fields regardless. They're elevated events. They're $20 million prize purses. It's not like, Patrick Cantlay's going to be like, oh man, there's 120 players in the field this week. I'm not playing. Are you kidding? Like, no, there's 20 million up for grabs. Of course he's showing up. So no, it's the only reason they're doing it is to feed the wallets of the top players, make sure they don't leave LIV. It's unfortunate. I kind of get why they're doing it, but I think it detracts from their product in the long run. The cut means something. The cut means that someone brought this up on Twitter, and it's a great point. Tiger Woods' cut record is one of the most impressive things that you'll ever see.
Bro, he's even made cuts with one leg.
So that, like, all of a sudden making the cut, it's like you're saying, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Like making the weekend cut, it's not a thing. It doesn't matter on the PGA Tour. Yeah. I don't like it.
You know what?
Really dislike it at
small silver lining here. The field for the Puerto Rico Open, like on weeks like this, and those secondary tournaments that are held like on the same week, they're going to be loaded, bro.
About the Puerto Rico Open, the Puerto Rico Open. It's pretty crazy. Guy
Fryer.
Burrows is in the Puerto Rico Open. Go Google Guy Burrows.
No, I'm actually not going to waste a Google search on that. But Fryer, give me your last dude. This is the longest of long shots.
Yeah, this is
Jeff Ulrich. I can't wait to get your reaction to this one.
Okay. In DFS, he is 6,500.
Oh boy.
For top 40, he is plus 260. For top 20, plus 700, plus 2,000 for top 10. I'm not going to go any further. Ben Taylor, 35,000 on his odds to win this. The biggest detractor for him, and I understand this is important, is as far as I can tell, he has not played in this tournament before. And I know, Jeff, you noted, though, that where the other two guys are Americans, he's an international player. And I believe is it 5 of the last 6 guys who won this tournament were international players?
Yep. 5 of the last, I think it's 5 of the last 7. Yep.
Okay, 5 of the last 7. And then he just finished tied for 5th at the Honda Classic. Not elite in approach, but right now he's been putting well. He's 8th in strokes gained putting. So yeah, there's the red flag with him, of course, is his experience, not the lack of experience at this tournament, but still, you got a lot of ways to attack it with him. And I think from a DFS perspective too, that's a guy who's going to save you quite a bit of money too.
What do you think,
absolutely. Ben Taylor's been playing well. Kind of similar to Hoagie. I mean, Taylor is a guy I could absolutely see sticking around into top 20. He's got a pretty solid game, man. It's not, he was decent on the Corn Ferry Tour. And the thing I like about Taylor is he is kind of an all-around player. It's not like he does one thing well. It's not like he just bombs it and then he can't do anything else. I mean, we saw him get in contention last week and hold around on a technical course. So if you saw some follow-up, I would not be shocked. Plus 2,000 for top 10. I think he's a good, we were talking about Tom Hoagie for a good top 10 bet. I think Ben Taylor's probably a good top 20 bet. It is his first time around the track, but again, he's playing well. So I would be looking to him in the top 40, top 20. If I will also say this, if you're going to take some long shot plays in the outright market, I would rather pivot to guys, and I got them both up here, Benny Ann and Danny Willett. And my reasoning is pretty simple. They've played this course before. They're veterans and they're both in good form. So I think they have that edge over Taylor in the fact that they've played Bay Hill so many times, and they've both either won events or been really close. Byung-Hun An actually won in Florida around this time last year on the Corn Ferry Tour. He's played this event multiple times, gained 3 strokes on approach last week. If things get crazy this week, I mean, I really do think Benny Ann is a player who could stick around. You could just see him potentially pop up at the end. Danny Willett, the same, man. Danny Willett is probably top 5 in the world in terms of short games right now. Played really well at the Honda last week. I mean, these are massive odds. These are bigger odds than you're going to find a lot of books on these guys. And if you're just sitting here, maybe it's, obviously the tournament's starting soon and tomorrow, and you just want to throw down a couple guys. I mean, these are really, really good odds. It's not going to take a big investment. I think both these guys are potentially live. Really interested to see how they do this week. Both had good weeks last week at the Honda. And now they're coming in with that competitive practice into what's going to be an even tougher event. I like it.
Jeff, any other picks you want to share real quick before we got about a handful of minutes to go, and I want to talk to you guys about NBA and NHL.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think we went over most of them. I don't think I'm leaving out anyone here. So no, I mean, let's close it off there. I mean, I even got to mention Benny and Daniel Willett. So I mean, that's good enough.
Yeah, dude, it doesn't get much better than that. Fryer, tonight, Kevin Durant's going to make his Phoenix Suns debut. Point total 20.5 on the DK Sportsbook, over -120 odds, under -110. What would you do there, and what are your expectations just as a whole tonight, man?
Well, I think that the minutes is something to monitor. I haven't seen anything about him being restricted from a minute standpoint, but I don't think they're trotting him out there without him being a full go. So while I expect minutes to be managed, Kevin Durant can he can score 21 points in pretty short order. And I expect him to do that again tonight. 35 of his 39 games this season, he has gone over this number. And the last game he played in, which was a shortened appearance for him, he had 17 points still. He had, again, short of this number, but he played limited minutes. So I love him in the spot. I really thought it was going to be set at 23, 25 and a half, somewhere in that range. At that point, for me, it probably would have been a stay away, maybe even an under. But at 20 and a half, I'm more than happy to take that because I feel like you got a guy like Chris Paul, especially, who's going to want to make him feel comfortable, going to want to facilitate, not going to want to take as many shots. I do think that his assist prop, Chris Paul's, is at 8.5. I think that's an interesting number too. He's pounded the over on that one throughout most of the season, or at least actually it was, what was it? 10 of the 13 games before the break, he went over that number. He hasn't gone over it since, but now he's going to have Booker, Ayton, and Durant at his disposal. I mean, I love that prop for him tonight too.
Good way to start a same game parlay too. I mean, good correlation there. Over on the assists and over on Durant points. I think that's how you would want to construct a same game parlay if you were so inclined.
Do the Bucks make it 16 in a row tonight at home against the Magic?
They got, I'd be kind of stunned if they didn't. They don't have Middleton tonight, but they got Giannis.
Magic have pulled off some big upsets this year.
They have. I will say I haven't done enough looking into this game personally. So I'm not, I lean towards yes, but I wouldn't make a play based on what I'm thinking. I mean, the Knicks is the one that I'm most interested in. And then the Celtics is the other one too, of course, because we're maybe talking about it somewhere else tonight. But I had an NHL one I wanted to run by Jeff because
I forgot about this.
Let's do that. Run your NHL pick.
He texted me and I forgot to text him back. He was very excited.
Oh, you didn't text our group chain?
No, Nick and I have a side chat chain without you.
I was so upset about Dallas last week not winning. I thought that was locked. So this may be a little bit emotional on my part, but I saw numbers that maybe lean Coyotes on the puck line plus 135, plus 320 straight up. But I like the puck line here because they've covered in each of the last 4 games that they were on the second leg of a back-to-back. They're 4-4 against the spread, or puck line, however you want to put it, on the second leg of a back-to-back this season. So all those covers have come in their last few opportunities. And two of those times they've won straight up, and 2 of those times they covered just and lost. In those times that they covered, though, they were on the road like they are tonight.
Yeah, look, betting the Coyotes long-term is never going to be profitable, but at the same time, I mean, the odds are, plus 320. Both these teams, Dallas has not been great of late. I will say that Dallas has not been good. I mean, they've kind of fizzled out a little bit. So, I don't know. I mean, it's probably not the worst time to do it. I mean, the Coyotes have kind of been playing okay. I don't hate it. I'm not going out of my way to do it, but.
That's fair.
I might take them on the puck line there. Do you think puck line or money line was?
I was leaning puck line. I mean, the other thing is too, they're 19-15 on the puck line on the road this season, and then the Stars. We talked about this last week. 14-16 on the puck line at home.
I think the puck line odds are pretty fair. I'm in agreement there.
Jeff, Patrick Kane's not going to play tonight for the Rangers on the road against Philly, but just where do the Rangers? I feel like they were cup contenders already. And I don't think there was anything major in terms of shift in their Stanley Cup odds after pulling them in. I think they went 13-1 to 12-1. I'm not quite sure. Where are they?
Yeah,
so they're 11-1 now.
Have gone, I think you're right. I think it was 13 to 12.
Yeah. And they've been a pretty healthy team like all season long. So now there's a little more insurance there, but where do they sit on your list of cup contenders after acquiring Kane?
I mean, it's interesting. I talked about the futures yesterday, and you look at the top 6 of the 5 of the top 6 teams in the odds are from the East. So if you're betting the East, my problem with betting the East is either you're going to you can take the Rangers, you could even take the Lightning at plus 1200. But my problem with it is if one of these teams gets through to the Stanley Cup, how fatigued are they going to be? How beat up are they going to be? If the Rangers have to go through Carolina and Boston and they somehow run that gauntlet, are they going to have anything left? Anything. So to me, the futures bet is in the West. I think a team like the Stars, I think a team like the Oilers, and maybe even a team like the Jets down there at plus 2,800, they get the right draw. They get maybe an easy leg or two, and then maybe Colorado gets upset. I think the West is wide open. That's just been my opinion pretty much all season. So if I'm looking at futures, yes, I think that the odds on the East, I'd be looking at the Rangers or the Lightning for sure. But I really think the better value is to try and get a couple of these Western Conference teams on side.
Mhm.
And if you get the right, if you hit it, like let's say we take the Oilers and the Stars. I mean, it's a lesser investment than taking the Rangers or the Canes or something. And both of these teams have legit, like, obviously offense up front. If they get there, they could potentially be getting a really banged up, fatigued East team. So that's the way I like playing the futures. I really like looking at the West. And I'll throw the Jets out there again, who made a nice move at the deadline, getting Nito Niederreiter. They got Connor Hellebuck. This is where I'd be looking. I mean, I'm definitely looking to invest in the Oilers. I like the Matthias Ekholm trade. I think they addressed an area of need big time. And like I said, the Jets and Stars both have really elite goalies. So I think the play right now is to look to the West. And you can hedge out if you don't like the matchup. Let's say the Bruins do end up crushing everybody in the East, and the Jets get through. Just hedge. You're in a great spot anyways. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to bet the West.
Last team to win the President's Trophy, just proceed with caution with the Bruins. Last team to win the President's Trophy and win the Cup in a full season. Those are the Red Wings in 2007, 2008. We all know the Blackhawks did in 2013. That was a shortened season there, though.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that's all the time we have. Wonderful work from both of you. Who was the plus 35,000 guy you had? Ben Taylor?
Ben Taylor.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're all Ben Taylor fans this weekend, baby. Let's go. So thanks to both of you. Thanks, DK. Thanks, producer Eamon. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time for Thursday edition of The Sweat. Have a great night.